Welcome back to Your Detroit Now. We got a great show ahead of us. Not talking Lions, Tigers, Pistons, or Red Wings, college basketball, or college football. So many of us dream about playing professional sports when we're young. And now, as we get older, we start to realize there's a total business side to this industry. Today, my guest is Collin Murray. Collin is a professional in this space, teaching people how to get jobs in the professional sports industry. Collin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped to be here with you guys.
Super excited. So Collin, before we talk about your experience in Athlete Lab, and we're going to take a deep dive into what that is in a second, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Can you tell us, your experiences, some of the teams you worked for, and especially where did your love for baseball come in?
Yeah. So I have a really untraditional background probably when it comes to breaking into pro sports, and for me, especially baseball. It was something I've always wanted to do. I think so many people grow up dreaming of playing pro sports or being involved with that. And then a lot of people's dream ends earlier than than they want it to. That was the case for me. I went to a high school pretty much for baseball, in which I didn't play baseball any of the 4 years there. I got cut all 4 years. Maybe I should have made it a year or two, but I think it really set something off in me when I was, 14, when that happened for the first time of, all right, I'm either going to go for this thing and I'm going to get everything I want out of it, or I'm going to die in the process of trying to get it. But that was kind of my life goal. And I think that really solidified when I was a freshman in high school. So spent the next 4 years trying to get as good as I could. Didn't play high school, but I did play 2 years of college baseball up in Canada. Was able to play for McGill University, and I was a lefty throwing like low 80s. It wasn't like I was going to get drafted or anything good, but I just wanted to play as long as I could and be involved. I was there for 2 years, and then I had a chance to go to a D1 school, Elon, and try to walk on, in which case I tore my labrum in that summer, and I was done playing at that point. And I still transferred to Elon. I was already committed to going there as a school, so I was kind of at this crossroads of, for the first time, I'm kind of done with baseball. I'm not working in it, and I'm obviously not playing it anymore. I'm not training for it. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, with anything. I took sport management when I was at Elon, and I figured that there'd be some job within that. But I think so many people are always taught it's just sales, marketing, promotion, the true business roles within sports if you want to go and break in on that side. For the longest time, I think it was like if you wanted to be a coach or in player development or front office or scouting or whatever, you either needed to play pro, like prior to that stuff, you needed to play high level college, or you needed to go to an Ivy, have the craziest connections, people that can pull you up and do all this kind of stuff. So I was always told it was impossible to do that. My senior year at Elon, we went down to the winter meetings. Our professor, Dr. Cryan, was awesome. He held like a little group that we'd all get to go down, go experience what that's like. And for anybody that doesn't know what the winter meetings are, it's where all the teams get together, GMs, Rule 5 draft, but then there's a lot of jobs, and there's a job fair where teams will go there, minor and major league teams, essentially post their job descriptions on a bulletin board with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bulletins there. People go see which ones they like, go drop their resume in a pile, and if they like you, they call you, you have interviews, all that stuff. So he brought a class of like 8 or 7 of us down there, and it was in Vegas, and we had just turned 21, so it was the perfect storm, I think, for going down there and let's do it. And I put my name in the hat for the Miami Marlins sales job. I just wanted to get a job. I was going to graduate in 6 months, and my mom was pestering me about that, as I'm sure a lot of people are. And there was probably 4 or 5 major league teams that had a role open. Everything else was the minor leagues. So I saw Miami, and it was major leagues, and it was like, okay, maybe this is my in to do something within pro baseball. I get to be around the field. Did that. I got the job, which was awesome. 6 months later, 5 months later, once I was on the job, I loved the people I was around, but I did not love the day-to-day work. For me, I didn't want to be in sales. It's a great profession, but not something I wanted to be in. For me, I was so close to my dream of being near the field, like at the ballpark every single day working, but so far at the same time of you're not doing anything compared to what you want to do. You're not interacting with those people. It just wasn't the vibe and atmosphere that I think I needed at that time. So long story short, I knew my mom wouldn't want me to quit. So as advice, maybe don't do this stuff for anybody that's listening like this, but I called my mom one day and I told her that I got fired just so I could quit and go pursue my baseball jobs that I wanted to do. Because as I started doing research the last couple weeks to a month of me being on that job, I started seeing that there was some internships, baseball ops stuff, player development, and it was just, if I don't go for this now, I'm never going to go for this, and it's only going to get harder and harder and more tied down. So did that. Had my mom's full support at that point because she thought that they let me go. So she's like, "All right, go do what you got to do." Went back inside, resigned, and then I spent the next 30 days just trying to grind out everything that I could on baseball stats and understanding that and code and all of the things that I started to understand were a big part of sports and technology and the integration of it. Looking back, I got nowhere in those 30 days, as most people wouldn't, right? You're just trying to piece things together. But I did enough to be able to present myself to the Angels, got a job with the Angels in video and player development. And that's where I really started diving into this full fledged within my career and what I need. So once I did that, I was there for, well, I was with them for 3, 4 months, but we were at spring training for, I want to say 4 days or 3 days. And then Rudy Gobert went and touched all the microphones, and COVID kind of obviously happened, and we got sent home. It was going to be a couple days, going to be a couple weeks, and then it turned into, hey, we're not going to bring anybody back for the rest of the season. So, you guys, if you want to find something else, you can find it else. If not, we'll try to bring you back for next year. At that point, it was probably 2 months into COVID. I didn't want to go and sit on my couch every day, just sitting there, and I know there wasn't much to do. Everything was shut down. But there was one summer league. I think there was like 3 or 4 that were operating, but there was one in particular that I had played in for baseball back in 2017 when I was first transferring schools, which was a pretty good league. But they were going to be really good this year because Cape shut down, all the other big leagues shut down. So all of these guys that normally play in those good leagues are coming to this league, the South Florida Collegiate League. So I got to be around, I mean, several major leaguers now, guys on the pitching staff that are major leaguers. Our middle infield was the starting middle infield for LSU. Tristan Casas' brother was on the team. So we had a good amount of talent on there. That was the first time that I was really coaching, and I realized that I loved coaching. I loved being on the field, working with stuff. I might not have been the best player, but I can take all the things that I've learned and all the things that I failed at, and now I understand the process of maybe how to get better, how to manage that from an emotional standpoint, from a workload standpoint, routines. And so I wanted to continue to give that on to whoever I was working with. That being said, I thought I knew probably way more than I did. With our starting pitcher, his name's Mason Black. He's with the Royals right now. Got drafted by the Giants. He was huge part of my career just because super smart guy. I think he was like I don't want to make it up, like a biomechanical engineer or something at Lehigh, like very, very smart, academic focused, obviously super talented at baseball, but just had his head on the right way. I bet you when I was reading the data to him, because it was new then and you're just trying to implement things, I bet you I was saying all the wrong things and I probably would have made so many other people worse. But he was able to take it and find something that worked for him with it and be really nice to me and be like, yeah, that makes sense, even if it if it maybe didn't make sense. And he got better because of him, not because of me, but that gave me the confidence to say, oh, this is something that I feel like I can do and I can make an impact on. And I love it. It's easy being able to translate the data and all this stuff. So I knew I wanted to go into coaching from that moment. And so I reached out to a couple grad programs or a couple colleges, and I went to Georgia Southern for the 2020-2021 year, which was awesome. But when I got there, once again, ton of talent. There's several big leaguers that were on my team there that are now in the bigs and guys that are in the minors too. But when I first tried to explain things the same way I did to Mason, people looked at me like I was the biggest idiot in the world or I was speaking a foreign language. And that's when it was like, okay, like it doesn't even matter if I understand this stuff. You have to break it down on an individualized level so simply to where anybody can understand and take it. And that's when I really started trying to adopt the identity of, listen, nobody knows everything. I definitely am not the person that knows everything. There's so much I need to know still. But even if I did, even if somebody knew theoretically everything, you're not the one stepping on the mound anymore in the game. So how do you get through to the people that you're actually going to go and help to do those tasks? Because I'm not doing it for them. And everybody thinks differently. They have different cues, different bandwidth, backgrounds, understandings, routines, everything. So I really started trying to adapt towards the communication of information when I was at Georgia Southern, and I thought that was a good way to fit my role. We fell short of where we wanted to. We lost in the championship game of the Sun Belt, but like I said, we have Chase Dolander, Jalen Payton, a bunch of guys that are Hayden Harris that's in the big leagues now. So got to be around a lot of good guys, and It kind of propelled my career to the next point where I went to Detroit and I broke into the Tigers for the first time in 2021. I was more of a video guy, so my job was setting up camera, breaking down film, doing all that kind of stuff, whether it's BP, bullpens, sim games, all that kind of stuff, just making sure that guys have everything they need. A lot of those roles traditionally are just set into that, but I was really lucky to where my staff, Mike Alvarez, who was there, who was my pitching coach when I was there, Ryan Miner, um, they let me have more of a say than just I think what a lot of video guys will get. They used to quiz me on the bus rides back from every game when we play the Yankees. And we'd lose by 15 every game to the Yankees because they were stacked with Dominguez and Kevin Alcantara and all those guys. It was, hey, what was the best at bat of the game? What was the worst? What was the biggest mistake this pitcher made? What was the best thing that he did in the whatever clutch situation or certain situations with high leverage? It just got me always thinking that I'm not just doing my job of setting up the cameras. I'm actively participating. I'm understanding. I'm soaking things in. So when I do get the chance to be the full-fledged coach that I want to be, I can make an impact and I can be comfortable with those guys and I can actually help these pros. And so Mike was awesome for that and Ryan was awesome for that. And then after that season, I got an offer from Baltimore to be the dev coach there. So I got to work a lot with the data, essentially assistant pitching coach on the low A level, but I got to work with all the hitters, all the pitchers too. So, I mean, half of their lineup now, we were around with Basayo and Jackson Holiday and Kerstad and all those guys. So it was so cool seeing them from a really early age, Basayo from a really early age, seeing how they approach pitching. And then when I go and work with pitchers, how the best hitters are approaching this stuff on each level. And so just trying to get a good understanding of what do these pros need? What does everybody need? Who resonates with certain things? Who doesn't? How can I go and disseminate that information to them? And just trying to collect that as much as I could throughout my journey with the Orioles and Tigers. After my 2 years with the Orioles, I got an offer to go back to the Tigers in 24, where I signed a 2 year deal to be with them. And obviously it was pretty short lived because of my athlete lab stuff that I had to go and do. But I loved it, and I love what they're building there. And I got to be a pitching coach in West Michigan, be around a lot of good talents again, still work with some of those guys now independently, and built a lot of good relationships there. So it was really cool for me getting to go back to Detroit. And obviously, it's not something I wanted to leave. But halfway through that first season, I kind of had to make a decision between going to travel for my company and Athlete Lab and doing that, or shutting it down and running baseball full time and going through the pro ball stuff. So I wanted to help people break in as much as I could, and we started partnering with schools and just really blowing up on that front. So it was a hard decision, but it was an easy decision to make to leave it. And now just helping so many people get jobs in pro ball, in pro sports, not just on the player development coaching side, but literally every single department in every organization. That's what we strive to do. So it's a very weird, unorthodox journey probably to get there, but I'm glad it happened the way it did.
It's not always a straight path. These routes to the MLB, these routes to our dreams, that was absolutely outstanding. And we're going to take a deep dive into Athlete Lab in just a second. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the coaching and some of the technical knowledge that you've learned as you know, your time with the Orioles, your time with the Marlins, your time with the Tigers, especially here in Detroit. Tigers are now number one here. But so let's talk about, you know, you mentioned the name Mason Black, a couple other names at the Orioles, Holiday. Who were some of these players that really had a profound impact on your life, and what lessons, you know, a coach does so much for a player, but what lessons did maybe some of these guys give to you?
I think everybody has a different personality, and it's finding out how to get through to people. And that's the same in anything. It's not just in sports or baseball, but I think that's a huge part of life is relationship building and understanding people, and even not just for them, for yourself, of understanding why they might be saying something a certain way or doing something, and it's not just because they like you or they don't like you. It's because they have these, you know, beliefs or set of things that they feel they need to do to get to a certain place or the way that they operate. And so just understanding people first off is it's more fun because you're around them 24/7. So if you don't, then it's a whole thing too. But I think as a fan of sports and the game for a long time, it's so cool to be around these guys and helping them get to be where they want to be, knowing that I couldn't do it physically on that level that they are, and I'm also not doing it for them, but you're trying to unlock a thing or two for each person that can maybe go and help them do that, whether it's from a mental standpoint or a physical standpoint. So Mason was definitely the first big one. When you first get into coaching, I think too, especially with an untraditional background, there's a lot of probably imposter syndrome a little bit, where you're like, oh, why would they listen to me? I never threw 95. I would never got drafted. I was never on the big leagues. Like, why would these guys listen to me? They're better than I was. But then you see the buy-in, you see the relationships go, and then you see success, right? Or you're actually working together and they see trust. That is the coolest thing. And so I think for me with Mason, that was where it was, and that's kind of why I wanted to get into it. With the Tigers, there was a pitcher who's no longer there, but Joel Baez. He was 18, throwing like 96 to 98. Maybe didn't know where it was going all the time, but he had really good raw stuff, and he was a great dude. And I lived in on Tiger Town, or in Tiger Town in the dorms, and I'm pretty sure I was the only English speaker there. Because in the FCL at that point there was predominantly Latin guys that were there, and then I think there was Demonte, who was Italian, and a couple other people. But like, I was pretty much just myself within that. And Joel was one of the few people that lived in the States for a couple of years and then went back to the DR. So he spoke more English. And I just remember him always coming up to me, sitting next to me during the games when I was a video guy. And he refused to call me anything else but Coach Murray. When I got the job with the Orioles, he texted me right away. He was like, Coach Murray, I knew you were going to be a coach, and doing all that stuff. So there's guys like that where it just continues to be so much more than the game. Like, it's the people there that really help you do that stuff. And so he was awesome for it. And there's 1,000 people that I could shout out. Ryan Miner, rest in peace. He was amazing to me. He was a long time with the Orioles. He replaced Cal Ripken Jr. to end the streak, the Iron Man streak, and then he also got drafted with the Sixers, the same draft as Allen Iverson. So, like, crazy background for him, but the nicest, most down-to-earth guy. You would never know unless you look that stuff up. He never talked about it. He was just a baseball dude and just a really good person to be around, who always made that atmosphere so fun. And when you're with people 24/7, if they don't make it fun or they make it miserable, people don't want to be there either, right? So he did such a good job of cultivating, I think, a group of people that really cared about being on that team and developing and getting better. So for me, it made me want to be in pro ball the rest of the time. Like, this is what pro ball is. This is my first manager. Awesome. Sign me up for the rest of it. So he was awesome. And then since then, Dylan Smith with Detroit now, he's a good friend of mine. I think he's going to have a huge year this year. He obviously debuted last year with you guys and did really well in the sample that he was up there, and he's got gross stuff. So there's people like that where you see them with immense talent, and then they still just, they want to get to know you as a person, and they truly value your inputs. I mean, Jack Anderson was with Detroit, now he's with Boston. I could go on with so many of those guys, but if you don't have them there, you can't do anything as a coach, right? Like, the whole game is played by these people, and I think sometimes that gets lost a little bit on, hey, I got to do my job. I got to tell them what to do. That's not how it is. I'm here to help you. I'm here to aid you. You need something a little bit different than somebody else, and even if it's the same thing physically, the way we approach it, like you said, it's not linear. It's so different for everybody. So how do I get to know you and do that? And all of those people help me kind of realize that stuff.
And you use the term imposter syndrome, and I want to talk about that. How much of being a baseball coach is technical knowledge versus relationship, player development, and communication? You use that term. You said you wanted to be known for communicating well. How much of that is communication versus technical knowledge?
That's a good question. I think it's a bit of both. I mean, there's a point, right? I think with the way that sports have developed in general, you go from like pre-Moneyball era to Moneyball, and I guess I'll speak in baseball, but it's the same for every other sport pretty much. It goes to Moneyball, there's these basic stats, all this stuff, and then you start getting into data tracking, pitch tracking, all of this stuff. And I think that's where it started becoming really technical, and there was this race to see who could collect the most information. So I think at that time, it really was the technical, like, who understands this, who can get all the info. I think over the last couple of years, as everything has, I mean, it's Hawkeye has spread to the minor leagues amongst every team and doing all of this stuff. So it's like everybody has the data now. Now it's about not who can collect the most and have the most, it's who can use it the best. So I think communication is the skill that, at least for me, the better I got at that with the relationship building, all that imposter syndrome kind of went away, because you see the fruits of your labor actually getting through to somebody, right? But when you don't have one of the two, I think you need both. If you don't have either of them, I mean, I would have imposter syndrome the whole time. And I think even when I was a good communicator in the beginning, I still think there was just this instant of like, why did they hire me? Why am I here right now? I remember being with the Orioles, and I remember being in the cages. I'm a pitching guy. and they had me do some cage work with certain guys, just throwing and stuff. And I had the yips, like as a BP thrower. Like I can throw it as a pitcher. If I chuck it, I got you right in the money. But I had this thing where, I'm trying to, like, perfectly center it up. I hadn't really done it before. I was terrible. And then that gets in your head, and you're just like, oh my God, like, should I be here? Are they going to fire me? Like, I know it's not my job role, but I look like I can't even work in baseball right now. And then you see 20 people over the next 2 days who've been there for 5, 6, 7 years or been in the industry for a long time and be like, dude, I remember when that was me too. Like, you're totally good. Like, who cares? Have players say that stuff. Who cares? And it's like, I think after a while, that kind of also just simmers a little bit. And once you get used to something, then it's like, okay, these are just my peers, my colleagues. It's no longer, oh my God, I'm meeting this person and this person. Like, humans humans are really resistant to change, and I think it's scary, but then they're also very, very quick to adapt to the change once it happens. So it's this weird kind of paradox of that, and you just got to put yourself through that situation. And regardless if you have the imposter syndrome or not, go, move, go, work on it, and people will flock to you and they'll help you and they'll tell their stories too, and it does. It helps a lot kind of get rid of it.
That's amazing. Collin, let's take a deep dive into Athlete Lab. What is Athlete Lab before we start asking questions and getting into it? So what does Athlete Lab do? What is the process?
Yeah. Athlete Lab is a company that I accidentally started that I'm glad we did, that helps people break into pro sports. Any sport that they want, any role department. So it doesn't just have to be coaching or player development. It can be sales, marketing, promotion, events, scouting, whatever. It started as baseball, and I can kind of tell how I started it. So after my first year with the Orioles, I was on a podcast and I was talking about my bad baseball background journey, how to get there, all that stuff. And I had 3 students who had just graduated college or were about to graduate in December that didn't play baseball at least in college, didn't work for their teams, but wanted to break in and had no idea how. I think that's something that just in general is really lost upon a lot of people. I think people don't understand the hierarchy of not only the industry but the job process with it and how many people go there. And so me having a really bad background, I had to figure out a really good way to stand out and showcase the right skill sets. Like, how do I make sure that I can get seen with these jobs? Because there's 1,500 people going for every role that you're going to go for in sports, and one person's going to get it. So how do you make sure you get seen? So I worked with these 3 people that hit me up trying to break in on Zoom. It wasn't that long. It was before spring training, so a couple months max. And they all got full-time jobs in pro ball. And that was really cool. And so I thought that maybe my stuff could help a lot more. I was just teaching them like what I did from a coding standpoint, understanding the data, understanding how to simplify it, communicate it, but then package it up, present it to teams, gain visibility, go through the interview process, everything like that. Going into spring training for 2023, I didn't have time to get on Zooms with people. Obviously, I was swamped with work. So I made like my first iteration of a platform with videos and quizzes and tests and all that stuff that people could go through and understand the process of everything. Took on 8 people for free, and then 7 of them got full-time jobs within a couple months, which was crazy because it was now in spring training and beyond. So that usually doesn't happen. And that's when we were kind of like, okay, well, this might really be something beyond just helping a couple of people out. This might really be a way to, hey, how do I understand about the industry, break into it, and do it where I feel like I can trust this process. And so later that year after the season, I started opening it up. I partnered with my childhood best friend who he's awesome, and he's on the business side of the stuff, which makes it a perfect partnership with stuff. So I don't have to worry about all of that because maybe that doesn't go as well if it's just me doing it. But we started expanding, and we started reaching out to schools and just seeing who wanted to get the material, understand this stuff. Over the course of the last 2 years, we've had 126 people now, 127 jobs in the last 2 years from baseball, basketball, football, hockey, literally every single department from player development, scouting, analytics, front office, sales, marketing, promotion, events, all that kind of stuff. I wish I could say I meant to start it on purpose. I did not mean to start it on purpose at all, but to give back to people and to help people understand what you have to do, how to get that stuff, and then how to go through it to stand out and actually get the job is the coolest thing in the world. And so we've now had all 30 MLB teams. We've had people that will reach out to us all the time asking for our people, for jobs. And so It's definitely gone a lot easier over the last 2 years now that we've gained a little more traction, but it's just something that people have to understand. They have to understand what do you need to do skill set wise, both technical and like communication, soft skills. How do you present that stuff and package it the right way? And if you don't have those skills, how do we acquire them fast the right way? How do you have pro quality work, pro quality potential? Showcase that to teams so you get through, start a conversation, have the relationships, and get those jobs. I just think too many people always rely on, oh, it's rigged. I'm never going to get it. I'm not the absolute best. Even if I'm good, there's got to be at least one other person that's better than me for this job. And so I'm not going to get it. Or I'm always getting ghosted. I'm always getting rejected. I don't have any connections. You don't need to be born with connections. I guarantee you I had a worse background than 99% of the people that are trying to break into it. But you can build them. You just have to do it the right way. And so many people do it the wrong way that it's painful. So we got to go and kind of show them how to do it the right way a little bit better.
What does an organization look for when they're trying to actually hire somebody? You said 1,500 people can apply for one role. So how do we differentiate ourselves, and what is the organization themselves looking for?
Yeah. So, especially when you're first trying to break in, no organization, and yes, it maybe not in the data standpoint, but orgs have been hiring for over 100 years in some capacity. They're never once looking for somebody to give them all the right answers, and the org's never asking like, "Oh, I hope I find somebody that fixes all of our problems right now as an intern or as a first year person and goes and does this." But that's how people try to present themselves. Everybody tries to present themselves as perfect, polished, like sitting up straight. I'm not saying you should slouch, although I probably do that too much, but like all these types of things, right, to show that they're perfect. And in reality, that's not what they want. And that comes across, I think, as a little bit disingenuous. And it's not in a bad way. It's just like teams want people that are comfortable, that have the skill sets necessary to add value to the role, that have feel and can grow within those roles. So every org, doesn't matter what role it is, they operate a little bit differently across all sports. Like the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Orioles and the Tigers, maybe they have a lot of core fundamental beliefs that they share, but at the end of the day, they still do things differently. The Tigers do things differently than the Orioles and all these other teams. So teams will never hire you and just say, hey, cool, you're in, go do whatever you want now. You get free reign to do all this stuff. There's such a hierarchy. They want to see who has the right skill sets to fit their org. Now, when I train him or I train her on how we do things, they can take their skill sets and their personality and run in the right direction and grow and get better and help us and aid. So they care about skill sets and feel. And so to me, that comes down to culture, working with people that you enjoy being around that also have the skills necessary to add value to the role and do a good job. So it changes, but from what I've seen, it's like could be anywhere from 15 to 50 people in any given role that are applying that are qualified enough for those jobs where they would do a good job if they give them a chance. But there's so much noise with the rest of the process. There's people just throwing in automated applications or doing all this stuff, and it's only going to get worse with AI, where the floor is, or the bar is literally at the floor. Even for creating all of these projects, like you can go on Codex or do whatever and ChatGPT or something and ask, hey, build me a project on this, and it will do it, right? And so there's such a low bar when it comes to that I think we're going to continue to see over the next couple of years. The need for visibility is so much of the battle, and it always was, but it's so much. And everybody, in my opinion, does it wrong. I think schools and just people are taught in general to send formal emails like, hey, my name's Collin, I just applied to this position, I think I'd be a really good fit because blah blah blah, I'm graduating here in the spring, or I graduated a couple years ago from here, I've done this. I would love the chance to get on a call and kind of pick your brain on your experiences. That's the number one thing that people ask, is for a call for something. Hey, quick call just to learn about you a little bit so I can introduce myself. I get hit up in for Athlete Lab, and I preach on my LinkedIn, do not ask for calls, like ask for these ways. And I still get hit up 20, 30 times a day for people asking me long paragraphs at the end of it, hey, could we get on a call? It's not that you're not worthy of talking to them. That's not what I mean. But when people ask that, you got to imagine, right? If there's 1,500 people applying to a job, that means there's at least 800 people sending some sort of email or DM. And everybody sends it like that. And everybody uses ChatGPT now to write all this stuff. So Now it looks the same. It's all looking like the most fancy thing. Yeah, maybe you have an attachment with your resume, your cover letter, but it's all text, it's all words, there's so much stuff. So first off, nobody reads. Everybody has short attention span now. Like, I don't want to say nobody reads, but it's definitely a lot less than it was before. Like, we're at an era where you need instant, oh, that's captivating, I'm going to see that. Otherwise, they're moving on. And you could be the best number one out of the 1,500, but if they do not read your stuff, it doesn't matter. You will never get the job, which is why so many people get ghosted. They do not go through all the applications. And that's something that people don't realize. Like, especially with AI now, they're going to go do all of these higher views and all these other things where it's automated, where the AI starts like cutting people out, keywords or doing whatever they're doing by those searches. That's how it is. And so a lot of people don't even get seen. You might be literally the best person, but if you're not seen, you don't get the job. So that's part of the body of the message. But I think the other thing is, like I said, to ask in the calling. If 800 people are asking you to get on a 5 minute call, that's crazy. You have no time for that. And then you think they have no feel. For the job seeker, it makes total sense why you'd ask for that. 5-10 minute call is not time consuming for you. It's, you get a chance to know about them, they get to know about you, so now you're no longer just a name, they put a voice to it. All, it makes total sense why you would ask for it. But when they get that and they're like, dude, 800 people just asked me for a 5 to 10 minute call, nope, I'm not dealing with that. So either they ignore you, or they'll say one of the two things of, really appreciate it, we're going to keep your stuff on file, we don't have time now, but we'll let you know, in which case they're not doing that. Or if they do take the call, that's great, but that means they're probably a really nice person and they probably took 100 other calls at some point throughout the year with other people. So you remember the call, which is awesome, but they probably don't remember you. And once again, you could literally be a future GM, big league coach, whatever you want to be. You could be great. It has nothing to do with your skill sets. But for me, for example, I get hit up probably less than the teams during the hiring season, and I got hit up when I was helping some hiring stuff. Um, but it's crazy because I'll talk to people, have great conversations, and then a couple weeks later they might hit me up, and I don't remember who they are until I look through the notes. But that's only because I have the same conversation 20 times a day, right? So they all start to blend in a little bit. So there's ways where you have to make sure they remember you, and it's baby steps for that. So it's never asking to get on a call on that first thing. It's being really short, to the point. I always tell people, put a video out there, 2 to 3 minutes, with your face on it, your voice on it, so you can show them your communication, your skill sets. It doesn't have to be a specific project towards, like, hey, you have to do this type of thing, build a pitch grader, build whatever. If you want to be in coaching, just do a player breakdown. If you want to be in the front office, do something on trades or free agency. If you want to be in sales or marketing, do research on sales and marketing within the industry, and just give a 2 to 3 minute little presentation, research on it, put your face on it, talk about your ideas. If you have any technical skills, if you can show data, all that stuff, put it there. And the message is so simple. Hey, I just applied to this position within your org, or hey, I'm looking to see if you guys have any positions in blah, blah, blah within your org. That being said, I've attached a 3 minute video of a project that I built on blah, blah, blah. All I'm asking for is 3 sentences of written feedback. I just want to make sure my work is industry quality. I'm getting better every day. Really appreciate it. Thanks. And teams like that so much more, because even if they think that they're not going to respond to you, they're going to click on the video. And when it's short, captivating, to the point, they see your face now, they hear your voice, you're a real person to them. And I think part of the issue with this is nobody's full-time job in pro ball or any sport is hiring. So they have so many other things that take probably a bigger priority on their plate at times than hiring people, going through applications, doing all that stuff. And I say that because they're trying to go through 1,500 plus applications in such a short period of time, where nobody's full-time job is that. And to be honest, a lot of them probably don't want to go through the applications. It's boring, it's time consuming, energy, they have other things. So a lot of people get left out. And so when you build it the right way, where they see your stuff, oh wow, that's an actual person. Well, now you're not going to get, it sounds bad, but dehumanized, right? You're no longer just a name in the pile. Now you're seen as a real person because they've actually watched something of you. And now you're asked. It's not to get on a call with them. It's not to waste their time with them. They know you're looking for a job. You don't have to ask for the job again or be considered for the role. You're asking for 2 sentences or 3 sentences of written feedback. That is such a low bar to ask. They watch it. Yeah, of course I can give them 3 sentences. Hey, I really loved what you did with blah, blah, blah. We do similar things in our org when it comes to that. That being said, my next thing would be, have you ever thought about diving into this aspect of things? We do that in our org because blah, blah, blah. Like that's what all of the people I work with, they get responses like that. Now that does a couple things. One, you have the same touch point so they know who you are now. They've looked at your stuff, they've seen your face. You haven't wasted their time. It's on their own time, but now they know who you are. So that's huge. Two, they tell you things a little bit better than other people in terms of like what they like or what they do in their org or what they don't do based on their feedback, based on the way that they give you that information. So as you do get interviews and you can go through their process, you probably know how to navigate that team's process a little bit more than others because they've given you more information as to what they do or what they don't do or things that you should go do, which is massive when you go through those interviews. But then the third thing, and maybe the most important, is it leads to a follow-up conversation. Because now you can be like, hey, I really appreciate the feedback that you gave me. I'm going to go and work on that over the course of this next week and make an update. If you have even 2 minutes to jump on a call early next week, I would love it. But I get it. If you're busy, no worries at all. They're more than likely going to say yes, or at least find a time where they can, because now they've invested something into you within their own time. They've seen your stuff. They've responded to you, all of that. And now you've talked to them multiple times, whereas all of the other 1,500 applicants or more, they haven't even heard back from them. So if you put yourself back into the team's perspective for a second, there's a reason why they don't go through all the applications thoroughly or at all, because they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, they're pulled in a bunch of different directions, all that. So you're doing them a favor as much as yourself by putting yourself out there the right way, because now they feel like they found somebody that fits their culture, that has the feel, that has the skill sets, that can actually do good work, and they trust you and know you better than the other candidates. So now they don't have to put their energy and time into all the other applicants, which maybe they won't anyways, but now at least it's more of a, that's the person for us, that's the girl, that's the guy, push them through, push them through, push them through. And so the whole process goes faster for them, faster for you. You built a relationship. It doesn't take that long, but it's just everybody's coming out there asking for the job or asking for time. And it's just an automatic turnoff for so many of these people. So I think it's the approach, which is such a massive part of visibility. That being said, you can have visibility if you don't have the skill sets. You're going to get cut quicker than you would be if you just got ghosted, right? So visibility gets you the platform, but then you need to show the right things. So what I do and what Athlete Lab does is we make sure that you get the visibility, but once you get the visibility, you have the exact projects, portfolio work, directive that you need and that they're looking for, so you can go and get those interviews, go and get those jobs and keep moving forward.
Collin, it seems like it's the process of getting seen, getting a follow-up, and then getting something they can't say no to. I know that's what we talked about in our intro call. So that's making a 2-3 minute video, displaying your skills, 2-3 sentences of feedback. What can I improve on? What were your thoughts on this? Am I mistaken in that?
Yeah, it is. It's just about going down a relationship stream with them and just showing them that you have the value. Once they have an interest in you, like once you send them the video, the email, they watch it, you give them feedback, you get on a call, all it takes is a couple touch points, as long as you're genuine, right, and the right person, then they like you. Then they actually want to go and invest in you. So now they're going to go and look at all of the rest of the stuff that you've sent. They can go look at your resume. They'll go through your LinkedIn profile. They'll go ask references and all that stuff. It's not like you need to do 50 hours of legwork a week to make sure that you're always on top of it. Like they're also busy and they have a season. You don't need to hit them up all the time. Once every other month or every 6 weeks, just checking in, showing an update, that goes such a long way, because then they will let you know when they're opening, certain roles for the next season or inviting you to apply. That's a big sign, because now they're looking out for your application, so you probably won't get lost in that pile of people that get cut. But I think it's just starting that process with it and showing that. But so many people just try to land the haymaker from the first message, and that's what turns people off. You know what I mean? It's like if you're on a dating app and you're trying to get somebody to go on a date with you, you wouldn't just be super aggressive right away or say these great, like you try to warm it up and see if that's a match, and then if it's a match, you go and meet them. And it's the same thing with teams. It's dating, it's interviews, it's all the same thing. So it's like you can't, people are just too forward and too formal and trying to be too perfect. Nobody likes that. They want people that are real, that actually care about this stuff and want to get better. And you can showcase all that stuff in the video and in a couple messages.
So once you get your foot in the door, let's say it's in the video room, let's say it's in the stat room, how hard is it to transfer to a different department? So let's say I'm selling tickets. Let's say I'm, like I said, doing video. Is it a tough switch to become the hitting coach? Is it a tough switch to become the pitching coach, the infielders coach?
Good question. I think it depends on the role. So like Video is probably a little bit easier now. Like there's people that are stuck in video jobs for a long time too, so you have to be proactive about trying to branch out. And once again, you can do it anywhere. I did it sales and I did it through the video stuff. I think when I was in sales, so that was 2019, was probably a little bit different time. It's probably easier now than it was then because there really wasn't people moving from the sales side to that, especially without a playing background that was good. Mine wasn't like that, but I think you can do it. I think it's about putting yourself out there regardless of where you're at. Video, you're around those guys all the time, so you can prove your worth by just being there, being on the field, doing the extra things, staying later, helping a guy with a drill when a coach is out. Like those little things to where you're progressing, you have it on your resume. Obviously in sales you don't get those chances to go and do those things, but and you're not always just talking to the other departments. Like when I was in Miami, we were in the basement that was on the opposite side of, or I guess we weren't in the basement, but it felt like we were in the basement. It was windowless, and like you're on the opposite side of the baseball ops guys, so you're never interacting with them or seeing them. But I think the biggest thing is branching out and reaching out to people and doing this stuff because you will see how quickly it does come to fruition. We've gotten people jobs in pro ball that never done anything in baseball before or other sports that are trying to get into it fresh out of college. We've helped people that have changed careers at the age of 50 when they never played past high school baseball and then they went in a completely different career. It's like, I think the industry is so open to diverse skill sets now because they value skill sets, but you just have to present it the right way.
So, Collin, how are you in Athlete Lab helping people get that technical experience if they haven't had it before?
Yeah. So it started off by teaching people how to code, which we still do all that stuff. We have videos. Like I learned from scratch. I locked myself in a room in Georgia Southern when I was trying to break back into pro ball and do all that stuff of like, hey, I'm going to master coding. We had winter break for like 56 days or 57 days because of COVID. I literally locked myself in a room for 12 hours a day. It was 600 something hours. I would not recommend anybody doing that. It's not a fun experience. It's painful, but it helped me get to where I need to be. But since that time of teaching so many people, we've broken it down to where like anybody who wants to learn how to do that stuff can do it in 2 weeks or less if you just give it 30 minutes a day on average. It's asynchronous, so you can do it in your own time. But also, I think as AI has continued to infiltrate life, not just sports, but everything, there's still such a need to understand the technical aspect of it, but now we do so much more than that. It's understanding all this stuff, understanding how to build projects the right way. What are these teams looking for? What are these positions looking for? How do we build those things out? So most programs I think give you like this generic, hey, at the end of it you're going to build this thing and it's going to look like this. Mine is not like that. We want people to build the projects that they're interested in because I'm tailoring everything to you and your job. You are different than the next person. So you both won't be building a strike zone app that showcases umpire decisions and locations. If that's what you want to go into and that's the thing you want to dive into, then we will build that the way you want it, right? So you can present it, you can showcase it, it shows all that. But we don't want to tailor it to just one thing. And I think that's where other places go kind of cookie cutter a little bit. So for us, like we've continued to transition with the AI stuff of, nope, we're making sure you see what project you want, and then I'm going to teach you the technical skills that you need and how to build the exact projects that you want.
So it's more tailored to the individual.
Yep.
So how does Athlete Lab differentiate itself from other companies that attempt to get people jobs in sports?
Yeah. I think my background is maybe the most relatable when it comes to a lot of the people that are trying to break in. I've done it on the business side, I've done it on the sports side of it, coming from a worse background than any of you, literally anybody else out there that's listening that's trying to break into. I've put people at all 30 teams in the MLB in just 2 years. We've now had several people in the NBA, the NFL. We have a bunch of partnerships coming out. So we're just going to continue to grow. And I think we've established ourselves as somebody that knows how to get people in. By all means, too, like I'm sure there's other great ones out there too, and it's about the fit. So I encourage anybody looking to go find the fit for what they need and all that stuff. Never just go to us because you heard it was the place to go to. Like do your research and do all that stuff too. But once again, a lot of other places are very cookie cutter. It's hey, you're going to learn how to do this and then do this and then do this. Ours is like that conceptually. Here's the framework for getting these jobs, but you're going for a player development job. She's going for a front office job. He's going for a scouting job, whatever. Like we need to do different things within that. So how do I make sure that I understand you, what you need, what you want, and then how to package that, deliver that to get to teams. And then we put you guys out to teams as well, so teams know you're there. We have an entire platform that teams go on, they watch our videos, they hire people from our platform. So I think we're probably a little bit further along than other places when it comes to that. And then we've gotten over 120 people in the last 2 years.
So, Collin, how is Athlete Lab using AI to help promote the business, to help get people jobs in sports?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I think the biggest thing that we use it for me, organization is my weakness. Like that's the thing that I need to always stay on top of. So organizationally, it's helped a ton. Notes wise, building stuff, follow ups, automation in terms of like our newsletter, for example, that we send out. We put really good information with a bunch of free stuff in there. It is literally all free in there, but we're doing 1,000 different things, and I don't want a team of 50 people. I want to continue to, you know, be there for the people and make this a real experience, not just, hey, this is a corporate, you're just going to get this. And so to do that, you only have so much time in the day. So like AI helps a ton for the automation of all that, all my scheduling, all of that. In terms of helping people break into pro sports, we understand now that it's not just about being a master coder and doing all this other stuff, especially if you're not trying to be an analyst, if you're trying to be in player development or anywhere else. You don't necessarily have to be the best coder in the world, right? But it's about being the bridge between the old school and the new school of whatever sport you're in, and how do you communicate all that information and be that connector where it's so efficient. So there's times where with AI, we'll teach people how to build things through AI, but prompt it the right way, build things the right way, workshop their stuff, but still be able to understand the back end of it. So when something goes wrong, or if they need to fix something, or they're in an interview, they can go and they can answer that stuff, or they can actually talk about it. They're not just a vibe coder, like, that's where the bar is now, right? The bar's on the ground. Anybody can build projects. So over the next couple of years, you're going to see 20,000 people put out their own pitch models, and they're all this. But the problem is 99% of them are going to be wrong because they don't know how to do it the right way. So they don't know when it's not working. They just think it looks cool because they see numbers there. It's like, oh, that's probably right. So a lot of that's going to be wrong. So they don't know how to clean that stuff. But they don't understand what the league does and where it's at and what it's looking for, what that sport is that they're trying to break into. So if you're not putting out professional projects where that league sees it and they're like, oh, they understand the level of where we're at with things. Like if people just put a pitch grader out there and they send it to a team, and the team asks one question about it and they don't know how to answer it, or they can't speak the lingo of it, you're disqualified. And that's going to be what a lot of these people are, is like, hey, chat GPT, build me an app on this. And then they're going to post it. And then somebody's going to interview them, and then they're not going to understand it, and they won't be able to speak on it. So that's why the communication, the videos that we preach is so big, because there's going to be so much noise continued to be added to the job process. You need to be well-rounded in all of this stuff. You need to have pro potential. And once I see that, you're good.
We've talked about putting 120 plus people into jobs in sports, all 30 MLB teams. Do we have anyone in the front office?
Yep, we have people that are up to, we have probably 35, 40 people in the front office. We have them pretty spread out throughout front office, scouting, analytics, player development. And then over the last, that's where we were for a while. And then over the last 6 months or so, we had a bunch of sales, marketing, promotions, people reach out to events. And then we've gotten those teams on board too. So yeah, we've expanded a lot, but a lot in the front office.
How about the league office, the MLB? And let's talk about outside that, NFL, NBA, NHL?
Yep, all of them as well.
That's amazing. So kind of as a fun spin-off, what's the easiest, what's the hardest? I know your background's clearly in baseball, but is it pretty cookie cutter?
It's fun working with different sports because it's not like a challenge in a bad way, but it gets you a little more stimulated with it. I would say, and I'm not to disrespect anybody that hasn't gotten those jobs, but I think the other leagues aside from baseball are easier to break into right now if you do the right things, because baseball and technology, even though baseball gets the rap of like the archaic sport that doesn't change and is slow, it has adapted to technology, maybe aside from golf more, and maybe tennis, more than any of the other sports, at least more than the main sports. So like NFL has it now, next gen stats, all that stuff. Obviously, basketball tracks all of it, but I still think they're like 2 years behind where the MLB is with things. Meaning, if you could put your projects out there the right way and showcase it to those guys in the NBA, NHL, wherever, I think there's less people reaching out and doing that in those sports, so it's even easier to draw the traction.
Yeah, and I think MLB got started earlier. We saw with that movie Moneyball, as you mentioned earlier, with Jonah Hill, the Billy Bean documentary. Baseball got started earlier. Baseball Reference, Baseball Savant. There's all these awesome sports tools that the NFL just really can't compete with, that the NBA doesn't have just yet. NHL's not there. You said golf is there with the numbers, but man, like the open source, and it's all public to the users, all public to the fans.
Which is really interesting because MLB has so much of the blackout restrictions and all that stuff on their TV, which people complain about, but they do. They are so open public with their data, which is awesome to dive into, and not just even on Savant, but well through Savant, but being able to download all that Statcast data. You have every single pitch from everything. So I work with one guy in Detroit right now, and a couple other guys, a guy with the Red Sox, and being able to look at their data and have all access to that information, even though I'm not there in person with them, is so nice for me because I can build my reports. I get on calls with them. Obviously, I watch the game, but now I have real, tangible things to go and dive into. Like, is this a fluke? Is this the real thing? Is this something we need to bring up? Is this not something we need to address? All the things that I would do in a pregame, postgame outing, all that kind of stuff, anyways, with the players while you're there, is so easy to do remotely now because I can go and do it. And obviously, with remote, there's restrictions. You're not working with them on the drills every day. I'm not on the field with them, but being able to understand the information and give that to them and understand where he's at with it and have him see it, I mean, it's so easy now with the way they do it.
As we're wrapping up here, one thing I got to go back to, and you mentioned it earlier, your time with the Tigers, you really like what they're doing today. Justin Verlander signed back for another year. I mean, where are the Tigers? Do we like them?
Yeah, I think they're the team to beat in the Central for sure.
All right.
I think you got Framber, you got Skubal, I mean, that rotation, they got a lot better this year. And I'm excited to see what Skubal does in his contract year, and he's going to ball out as he always is. So no, I think that organization is really well run from top down, and you're going to see a lot of good things from them.
Is the ALCS the floor? Is that safe to say?
I would say so right now. I would say so. It's so interesting, what happened last year too was the opposite of what happened the year before in the end. So it's like I want to see it play out. Baseball has taught me that you never know until you know, unless it's the Dodgers.
Right.
But it's crazy, and no, I know AJ's an amazing manager for what they're doing and everything there. So I'm excited to see what they're doing, honestly.
Well, we're super excited. Back-to-back NLDS. I think with the addition of Justin Verlander, maybe with what we got in McGonigal, hopefully this can push us over the edge and get us over the hump.
Framber too.
Absolutely. So I'm starting to think we have potentially the best pitching staff in the MLB. That's kind of where we're at right now.
I'm for it.
I love it. Well, Collin, is there anything we missed, anything you want to bring up as we're coming to a close here?
No, just people that want to work in pro sports or any sport, you're going to get rejected. You're going to get ghosted. Do not think that that's personal. If it is, then great. We can up your skills and then you can make it better. That's a good thing. But if you're getting rejected and you feel like you're qualified and you're just not getting seen, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you out. People deserve to be in the sports and the things that they want to do. And I think now we're just in a place where we can make that happen.
That's amazing. And Collin, where can people find more of you? Where can we see more of you? Where can we learn from you? This guy is amazing on LinkedIn, by the way.
I appreciate it. Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn, Collin Murray, Collin, or go on to our website, athletelab.io.
Collin, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We've learned a lot. We've had a great time. If you want to learn more, like he said, please check him out on LinkedIn. Check out Athlete Lab. We'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Come watch our next video. And this is Your Detroit Now.